You might be surprised to see how quickly a minor crime can turn into a very serious one. Something as simple as tossing drugs out the window or swallowing them before you're stopped by police or before police conduct a search, or even deleting a file that you know is going to be used in an investigation could lead to very serious consequences, and you could be charged with tampering with evidence. So what is tampering with evidence? Tampering with evidence is a felony offense in the Texas Penal Code under 37.09. Tampering with evidence is a broad statute and it covers a number of things. It could cover destroying evidence or altering evidence with the intent to affect an investigation. This could also include making false documents to mislead an investigation. So if you make a fake document to give to police officers, that could also be considered tampering with evidence. So what are common examples of tampering with evidence? These could be things like swallowing drugs or throwing a beer bottle out the window before you get pulled over by police. Could include flushing drugs down the toilet to hide them from police during a search, or moving a body after a crime has been committed. It could also include destroying a hard drive or tossing a cell phone when there is knowledge that there is, in fact, information that a crime occurred on those hard drives or cell phones. If the prosecutor could allege that you had the intent to affect an investigation, that could be considered tampering. To show intent, a prosecutor would have to show that you knew what you were doing and you knew an investigation was happening. Without those things, it's going to be hard to prove that you had an intent to affect an investigation. Typically, tampering with evidence is punishable as a third-degree felony, which could lead you to 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. If it's alleged that you were tampering with evidence and that evidence is a corpse, that could be a second-degree felony, which is punishable by 2 to 20 years in prison and also up to a $10,000 fine. Not quite tampering with evidence, but there is another way you could get charged with this type of charge, which is finding a body of a deceased individual and failing to report it, and that could be a Class A misdemeanor. Now, what are some defenses to tampering with evidence? First, and the biggest one, is going to be that lack of intent. If you didn't have an intent to mislead an investigation, it's going to be hard to prove that you tampered with evidence. Another way that a defense attorney could show that you do not have the intent to tamper with evidence is showing that you did not know whatever item it was evidence. So say a cell phone has incriminating information on it. If you did not know that could potentially be evidence and you got a new cell phone and got rid of that one, that could show that you had no intent to mislead the investigation and be a defense to tampering with evidence. Another defense is the lawful authority. So you had a lawful reason to destroy or discard whatever the item is in question. Finally, another defense is a constitutional defense. So if there is an illegal search or seizure, that could be a lawful defense to tampering with evidence. An example of this would be if you got rid of drugs during a search and the search wasn't legal, then there's a potential that anything from that search is unconstitutionally seized, i.e. the drugs or the lack of drugs, and that can be a constitutional defense. To tamper with evidence isn't just about drugs or guns. It doesn't have to be something illegal per se. At the base of tampering with evidence, if the item in question is something that can influence an investigation and you destroy or hide it to mislead the investigation, that could be considered tampering. So how to avoid a tampering charge? If you're getting pulled over by police, don't throw out your beer can if it's in your car, or swallow your drugs if the police are coming to search your house. You also don't have to give consent to search your house. The police will have to come back with a warrant. Note, though, there are exigent circumstances in which a police officer can search your house or car without a warrant. So all of that to say, if you do end up facing a charge of tampering with evidence, call us at Varghese Summersett. We can help you. Our number is 817-203-2220. You can also find more information at versus texas.com or by Googling Varghese Summersett.